Hi everybody, Ian Dainty, and I'd like to welcome you to the GAIM plan, or how to stop chasing bad leads by qualifying more effectively. Here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about my background, some of the marketing issues that people are running into, how B2B people apply, then the GAIM plan, and then an offer I have for you. Okay. I started my business career at IBM in the mid-70s, and it was always in sales and marketing, and that's what I have been doing since. I've owned two businesses that I've sold successfully, and both technology related. And I know technology from about a 30,000 foot level, but I wouldn't say that I'm a technology guy by any stretch, but I know how to sell it, not necessarily how it particularly works. And as I mentioned, it's always been in sales and marketing, and the last few years have been helping a number of companies by coaching their salespeople and coaching entrepreneurs and business people in how to sell their products and services to their clients. Let's look at what's happening in the world today. Yep, that's right, it's been a downturn. We've had a huge economic crisis. North America has been divided. I live in Canada where things have not been quite so bad, although our unemployment rate is still around 7.5%. But the States, of course, has been hit very hard, particularly with that housing crisis, which has hurt everybody, and now they've still got the economic crisis and the debt crisis they have to deal with before August. Europe, of course, has been in not too good shape either. When you look at the bailouts in Greece and Ireland, and it looks like Spain and some other countries are in deep trouble. England or the United Kingdom is not so good. Ireland's overflow, so Europe hasn't been so great either. And then the rest of the world, of course, you have the developing countries. India and China have been growing like crazy, but their inflation has to be in check, and so things are very chaotic throughout the world, and it doesn't look like it's going to get a lot better anytime soon. So you have to understand how to do business better and how to qualify better, and that's what we're going to get into. The first thing you want to do, obviously, before you qualify a lead is you have to get a lead. And in order to get a lead, you have to target your particular who you want to go after. And there's outbound leads, what means, you send out a direct response marketing email or a letter, those kinds of things, some advertising, they're all outbound. And there's inbound, where advertising is also part of that, where you can do other things, particularly social media, which is inbound, and that's become very big right now. And of course the biggest part of that is your website, and capturing people's names as they visit it, making sure they stay by having good content, and all kinds of factors that will allow you to get leads. So there's many ways of doing it. You can do it through webinars and teleseminars and speaking and running even just seminars, all kinds of different ways to get leads. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I think most of you know those. So what are some of the issues then that sales and marketing people run into? Well, one of the biggest ones I see is that they tell me that they get a prospect and they never call back. They're not into the right decision maker, and so the sales cycle becomes larger. They're told that their prices are too high. You're told you can't reach the prospect at all. Not only they don't call back, but you can't even now get through to them because of a gatekeeper like an executive assistant. They tell you they don't have any budget or no time to meet because they're too busy. And there's many decision makers now, particularly in a B2B sale, and because of a tighter economy, there becomes many more, and instead of one decision maker in each particular area, you'll get a panel or a board that will meet, or there'll be more than one person involved, a committee. And your biggest, of course, issue is the status quo. Well, that's not the way we do things around here, you'll hear a lot of people say. And the status quo is always your biggest competitor. You maybe have trouble differentiating between what you do and what your clients do. And I see that on almost every website. Almost all technical websites are the same. There's very little differentiation when you open it up and say, what do you do differently than your competitor? And there are ways to do that. And of course there's many more. And then of course there's the sales and marketing mistakes that sales and marketing business owners make. That is, they chase prospects instead of having prospects follow them, chasing them through cold calls, which I think are anyway. You put yourself in the in the secondary position by chasing prospects and doing cold calls, giving proposals before the prospect even asks for it, okay? Or the prospect does ask for it rather, and then you run off and give a proposal. The least number of proposals you can write, the better off you are. Or you give a proposal because you think that they could use one. And you think, well, if I give a proposal, my boss will be happy because I got proposals out. Proposals don't necessarily get business. In fact, a lot of times don't. And you start selling features instead of benefits, or instead of advantages, and what are the real key reasons that people are buying. And people keep asking executives, what keeps you up at night? Well, executives want you to know what keeps you up at night, what keeps them up at night rather. So you should know that before you even walk in into the a business meeting or talk to somebody. And then the phony closes and cheesy closes. You see it in car salesmen all the time. Well, if we can get it for you in red, will you buy today? You know, those kinds of things. Nobody likes them anymore. And of course, many, many more. So these are the mistakes. There's the issues and the mistakes that a lot of sales and marketing business owners, entrepreneurs make. Next thing I want to cover is how business people buy, because it's important to understand what they're buying, what we buy, and we all do it the same way. The first thing people have to do is they have to agree they have a problem. Excuse me. If they don't have a problem, then you're probably not going to sell them anything. You may do it if you can help them do their job better, but then you got to convince them that that is a problem. And then the prospect has to agree that he wants to solve the problem. Okay, I think we all go through that. We have a little rattle in the car. We know we have a problem, but we're not prepared to solve it yet. And we do that with computers. A computer runs slow. I guess it's a bit of a problem, but we haven't agreed that we want to solve it yet. Now you can do, these are the things that should be uncovered through marketing, not through sales, and they can be nurtured. And you can agitate a problem so that people do want to solve it. I won't get into that today, and then the prospect, once he agrees he wants to see the problem, he goes out and tries to solve it, and then he sees the value of your solution. Okay? So he's talked to a bunch of competitors, and now he sees your solution is the better one, and so he agrees to implement your solution, and that's when you get into implementation and training and everything else to make sure that your solution works well. And then there's the renewal stage where you're going to sell them more stuff, and you're going to set up account strategy and plan if you have software, and you do sell more stuff, which you always should do. Okay, so that's how business people buy. I want to also say that 1 and 2 again should be automated, and they're a marketing, not a sales function. It shouldn't be. So why do business people buy? Well, there's 5 important reasons why business people buy, and I'm going to go through them. There are 5 factors. First factor is improved performance. Improved performance can come in 3 main categories. These 3 categories are an increase in revenue or profits, a decrease in expenses or costs, and an improvement in productivity. So there's how you get improved performance. You may be able to give your client increased opportunities through your products and services. You may be asking what I mean by this. Well, let's delve into this factor deeper. There are 4 distinct areas where you can help your customers increase their opportunities. These include new products. You can help them introduce new products. You can help them break into a new market. You may even help them get into a new business totally, or you may help them expand. So your products and services may increase their opportunities. You may give them a competitive advantage. You can give them a competitive advantage by successfully demonstrating one or more of the following factors: a differentiation in their products, how your product can give them a differentiation, how it can lower their cost. This is going to be particularly true in the manufacturing area. Software can help lower the cost structure. And you may help them break into niche markets. Now, there is a bit of overlap between increased opportunities and competitive advantage, but that's really what you want to do if you can do that. The next one is risk mitigation. There are 2 things here that you got to look at. The risk mitigation is if they're going to implement something new, there's going to be a risk to them. Not they're changing the process they already have. So what you have to do is mitigate that risk with them and show them that the benefits far outweigh the risk. And then, of course, there's the other one. It gets into some areas that lawyers and accountants do all the time, so that they don't go to jail for doing things. Sarbanes-Oxley was one where now CEOs, CIOs, the CFOs all have to sign off on the annual statements, and if something is terribly wrong or they've misled people, then they could go to jail. So there are things that you got to look at for risk mitigation. The last one is the one I believe that most people leave out, and that's where the game plan develop. One of the things you have to understand is that business people buy for personal reasons as well as company reasons, okay, as well as business reasons. But the personal reasons far outweigh the business reason. Now, there's some things they're not going to buy in a for a personal reason. As an example, unless you get along with somebody, if you're selling envelopes or nuts and bolts to people and something breaks and they got to get it fixed, and if you happen to be the one they deal with, and that's probably what they go, there's probably not a big personal reason. But if you're selling software or a large a car or anything like that that has a large it's a big ticket item, then there are personal reasons they're going to buy. And the personal reasons revolve around winning and losing. And what you want to do is make sure that it's a win-win situation for each people. And let me give you an example of some personal wins. If they may remain in power by using your system. They may achieve control over others. They're having trouble doing that. They get more leisure. They increase their self-esteem. They may get a promotion. Okay? But we have to keep in mind that personal wins are the most important of the 5 reasons why people buy. You must understand the person you're selling to ensure you know what the reasons are they will buy, and more importantly, why they won't buy now or possibly ever. So they're the reasons, 5 reasons why business people buy. I want you to also understand that they buy when you can demonstrate results through the value your products and services bring, and that helps build a relationship, which builds trust, which then allows you to keep selling them more. So you've got to build value, you've got to show results, and that'll build the relationship. And that's how you sell to people. One of the issues that I see is that when people are first introduced, they're walking into a new client, and particularly if it's an executive, the client will say, so tell me about your company and what you sell. And of course the people are so excited about their products and or services and how they do, and so they jump right into it. And that's the worst thing you can do, because what it says is, here, I'll run through all the features, stop me when you feel like you hear something that you like. Okay, it really isn't talking to the person about how you can solve their issues or how you can help them do their job better. So there's a much better way to do it, and that's this. You'd say to them, this is just one example, of course, I'd love to, but in order not to waste your time, if you can answer a few questions first, then I can tell if what I offer we can help you or not. Okay? Now, doesn't that make a lot more sense, saying something like that? And then that gets you into a conversation with them. One of the things that I see is that when you do get into a conversation, remember, it's a conversation, not an interrogation of the client. Okay? So don't start interrogating the client. There's a thing called BANT, which is short for budget, authority, need, and time frame. And so people say, oh, okay, well, tell me, what's your budget on this? And do you have the authority to make this decision on this? And is it a real big need? Tell me about your need, and what about your time frame? And to me, that's an interrogation of a prospect or client. It's not a conversation with them. And although these are things that you need to know to move forward, there are better ways to do it than doing it through this type of conversation. And that's how I discovered the game plan and said there has to be a better way. So I discovered the game plan through watching. When I first got into sales, I would watch the best salespeople. I would watch my account managers and doing that, and I've watched all kinds of different people. Interviewing all kinds of good salespeople, particularly sales executives, people who run companies. What's the best way to go about and talk to a client? Much research over the past 10 or 15 years in particular, and I'm always reading. I read about a business book a month, so I'm always reading a lot and on the internet now and researching what are different ways. I follow a bunch of different people. What are good ways to talk to people and to try and qualify people. And of course I've learned a lot by trial and error on my own, and I won't go through some examples, but there's a lot of them. So what is the game plan? Well, again, I want to mention that people buy for emotional reasons and justify it with logical reasons. Okay? So you got to get on these personal wins, and that's what the game plan will be about, and I'll talk about it in a minute. And then they will justify it for business reasons. So whether they're buying a refrigerator or a car or any big ticket item, they still buy for emotional reasons. You have to understand that. All right, so what is the game plan? Well, the game plan is an acronym for goals, afflictions, impact, and meaning. So let me go through each one of those briefly. Goals is what you do is you walk into, instead of asking somebody what their issues are to start with, I like to walk in and say, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve this year? What are the 2 or 3 most important things that you want to do this year? And that gets some talking, okay? That's a conversation. You're not interrogating them there. You're getting into a conversation. Ask that first. Find out what they want to achieve, what their goals are. And then you can ask them what's stopping them. What are the afflictions stopping them? What are the issues and problems and concerns they have in reaching their goals? You see how this becomes a nice conversation versus an interrogation? So it makes it much easier. And then this is the most important thing. This is where you get into the personal side of it. What is the impact of you doing this or not doing this? And that's really what you want to talk about to get them involved in it personally. What happens if you do this? What happens if you don't do this? And there's lots of examples out there about people who don't do this. They do the BANT thing, they do the maybe goals, they ask about issues, and then they jump into their features. You've got to know what the impact is on this person personally and to the organization before you get into your features. And this is when you get into not into your features, you get into the benefits of what it's going to be for them to use your product, because now you know what their goals are, what's stopping them from reaching their goals, what impact it's going to be. If there's no impact, then you shouldn't be there. So that's part of the qualification part of it. And then if there's a big impact, then that's what you work on. Okay, so that's what the game plan is. Ask for their goals, afflictions, impact, and meaning. So remember, people buy for emotional reasons and justify it with logic for business reasons. So here's my offer that I want to give to you right now. I want to offer you a one-on-one coaching, just you and me. Learn how to use the game plan in your own situation, all right? We're going to use a practical example of one of your situations. I'm going to work with you one-on-one with one of your situations from lead to first, actually after the first meeting, because we'll have a review, the first meeting, and then after that. It will grow your bottom line, and it's the best investment you can make, learning how to qualify so that you qualify people in or out, and the game plan will allow you to do that in a very conversational and yet getting to the point. So let's look at the CSO Insight said that 44%, only 44% of leads are closed. So let's suppose you had a commission of $50,000 and you close 44% of them. You'd make $22,000, okay? What if we could raise that to 50%? Well, then you'd make $25K or $3K more. So I believe that we can do at least that. We can raise your close rate to at least 50% of leads, and I would like to say closer to 70 or 80%. So there you get a gain of $3,000 for a very small investment, which I'll talk about in a second. But just don't take my word for it. As one of my clients said to me, I found your methodology very concrete and real world, certainly a refreshing change from all the jargon one usually runs into. It is that. It's a conversation, not an interrogation. So here's my offer to you. Whoops. Normally, I get paid up to $500 per hour for coaching. I've been paid up to $3,000 a day for coaching and helping people out. But I understand that this is new to you, and I want to do it, and I want to help you out, and it's new to you, so I'm going to give you a much better offer. Normally, I would sell this for $397. You know, it's and there's quite a bit of work involved in it. But because of this webinar, you only pay $297 for everything. Well, what does that everything include? Well, we're going to sit down. We're going to make sure that you've defined your prospect properly. You've defined your market. We're going to run through what to say all the time, and we're going to do that. How to use the game plan through role plays. So we're going to spend at least 2 hours or more running through role plays, how to use the game plan. And then we're going to teach you how to follow up with the client as opposed with the prospect. And then you're going to follow up with me to ensure what to do next. Okay, and this will all be through emails, phone calls, and probably at least 2 or 3 sessions on how to do this. So instead of $500 an hour and 3 sessions, $1,500, we're going to charge you $297 to learn how to qualify properly and to stop chasing bad leads. Okay, so my offer to you is it's a no hassle. You will love it. It's a guarantee. If you don't make at least 3K in profits in a year, i.e. 10 times your investment, if you don't make 10 times your investment, how's that for an ROI? You get a refund and no hassles guaranteed. Okay, so I give you a full guarantee. There's no risk for you. So what to do now? Go and pay for your coaching session below, and then send me an email with phone number and best times to call you at ian@b2bbusinesscoach.com. Thanks very much. Go now and pay for your session, and let's really get at it. Let me help you learn how to use the game plan properly so that you're qualifying better. But what qualifying does is going to put more money in your pocket. You're not going to chase bad leads. You're going to close faster. I look forward to working with you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.